Casting live from the Trichomes.com studios in Southern California. It's time for your Morning Buzz. We bring you late-breaking news that keeps you up to date with what's happening in the cannabis industry.
Good morning. Good morning. Happy day after April 20th. Today is Thursday, April 21st, and these are your cannabis news headlines. First up, White House touts marijuana research amid inaction to free prisoners when pressed on 420. Next, Florida official sues Biden administration over gun rights for medical marijuana patients on 420. And last up, another U.S. Senate candidate smokes marijuana in a campaign ad calling for reform on 420. This is Thursday, April 20th, and those are your headlines. So let's go ahead and get directly into these stories. First one up is the White House. And really, there was a press conference yesterday, and President Joe Biden still believes people shouldn't be incarcerated over marijuana, but there's still no update on any progress to fulfill his decriminalization process from a campaign, from the campaign trail. And the White House said unofficially yesterday on 420. Press Secretary Jen Psaki was again asked about the president's pledge to stop criminalizing people over marijuana at the briefing with reporters. And while there's no news from the administration on that proposal, the official instead touted moves by the Drug Enforcement Agency to expand the number of authorized manufacturers to grow for cannabis research purposes. And that really didn't quite address the decriminalization update, right? We know that, hey, research is research, but how long is that research going to take for us to get there? Goes on to say, and quote unquote from Psaki, the president continues to believe that no one should be in jail for drug use, Psaki said. I don't have an update here. We are continuing to work with Congress, but what I can say on marijuana is we've made some progress on our promises. Let's see. She added that Biden is continuing to review his clemency powers, which is something he also talked about on the campaign and certainly remains committed to taking action on. Psaki made similar remarks on the clemency topic in December at the briefing that they had going on there. And, we'll go ahead and get back into it. But when asked about a bill to federally legalize marijuana that passed out of the U.S. House of Representatives earlier this month, the official said that the president agrees that our current marijuana laws are not working. But then she declined to directly address whether the president supports this specific legislation. So that's where that one is. Let's see here. Next up, we were going into the gun rights, and we had someone from Florida. Let's see, Florida officially sues Biden over administration over gun rights for medical marijuana patients on 420. And it was filed, Florida's agricultural commissioner on Wednesday filed a lawsuit against the Biden administration, arguing that the federal government is unconstitutionally depriving medical cannabis patients of their Second Amendment rights to purchase and possess firearms. Let's see. The suit from Agriculture and Consumer Services Commissioner Nikki Fried, who is also running for governor, also makes a unique legal argument that a congressional spending rider preventing the use of judicial or Justice Department funds to interfere with the implementation of medical marijuana programs means that the feds can't deny any patients the rights to bear arms. She tweeted, Nikki Fried tweeted, I'm suing the Biden administration because people's rights are being limited. Medical marijuana is legal. Guns are legal. This is about people's rights and their freedoms to responsibly have both. To be clear, I am no way challenging the federal government's right to enact reasonable gun regulations that protect the public, Fried said at a press briefing on Wednesday. In fact, I believe the federal government needs to take more common sense actions to keep families in our community safe from the senseless and horrific gun violence that has tragically impacted our states over the years. And my record speaks for itself on this. But denying the Second Amendment right of medical marijuana patients is not about safety. Let's see. Here we go. If the defendants were correct that medical marijuana use is in, excuse me, if the defendants were correct that medical marijuana use led to increased violent behavior, then it would be reasonable to expect the pertinent violent crime statistics would bear that out. However, these facts and evidence are to be elicited at trial will show they do not. In 2020, ATF issued an advisory specifically targeting Michigan that requires gun sellers to conduct federal background checks on all unlicensed gun buyers because it said the state's cannabis law had enabled habitual marijuana users and other disqualified individuals to obtain firearms. So this is something that has been national for a while. It's here in California, and basically ever since the medical cannabis programs have been put into place, we're looking at all medical patients having lost their Second Amendment rights, and realistically, the right to bear arms is for those who don't smoke weed. So yeah, that's not very good. Let's see here. And let's go on to the third and final story, where we have talk about another U.S. Senate candidate smoking marijuana in a campaign ad calling for reform on 420. And, we've got Indiana mayor who's running for U.S. Senate openly smoked marijuana in a campaign ad that was released on 420. Hammond Mayor Thomas McDermott sparked up a joint in Illinois, just 1 mile from the Indiana border, to show how the patchwork of state policies on marijuana means that states like Indiana that keep cannabis illegal are missing economic opportunities while perpetuating the cycle of criminalization. I'm going to have this ad queued up here, and what I was thinking is I'll share it with you guys if you want to see it before we go into our comments. And it's about a minute and a half, so I'm going to go ahead and share the screen here and show that we got. Let's see here. Show you guys what this is real quick.
Adult life, I've been surrounded by people, success.
The legalization of cannabis is important to this campaign.
My whole adult life, I've been surrounded by people, successful, creative people who smoke weed and who are dying for this to happen. We're ecstatic that it's happened in Illinois and in Michigan so we can buy it legally. But why not Indiana?
37 states and 4 territories, inclusive of Washington, D.C., have medical marijuana. Prior to the Roman Empire, they talked about marijuana being used as a joint-related relief medicine.
And veterans deserve this. Some of the people I serve with use it medicinally for anxiety and PTSD-related issues.
Thousands of people I've represented had possession of marijuana charges, messed up their housing, their ability to get jobs. They lose out on mortgages. People lost jobs for getting arrested.
That's not right. We need to do better.
By legalizing cannabis, you're able to not only benefit the consumer, but the producer now, right? Now we have farms in Illinois where cannabis is being grown. The economic impact that it makes is tremendous, not only for the state, but for smaller towns as well.
I get what you guys are saying, but being in an elected position now, I feel like our responsibility to be part of this conversation. And Mayor, in the 20 years that I've known you, you've always said that someone's got to start the tough conversations, and I know you're the guy that always does.
Here's the bottom line. We need to legalize marijuana on the federal level. We need to also legalize cannabis in Indiana as well, so Hoosiers could get the health and economic benefits of cannabis. That's the future we all deserve.
All right. Well, let's see. Why did that happen? Let's see what we got here. That's too funny. We're still broadcasting in my ears there. Sorry about that. I still had that going on in the background. So yeah, Indiana, Tom McDermott. We've got somebody coming up there and he's utilizing his position to be outspoken on it. I know we had a couple Hoosiers in the comments recently, and what do you guys think about that? So we're on to the question and answer period here, based upon the stories that we have going. Again, the top stories, if you weren't here from the beginning, are: the White House touts marijuana research amid inaction to free prisoners while pressed on 420. Florida official sues Biden administration over gun rights for medical marijuana patients. And then, as we just saw, another U.S. Senate candidate smokes marijuana on a campaign ad. And yeah, that's about where we're at today. Let's see, checking out the comments, and hey everybody. And while I'm doing that, I always forget to ask, if this is the first time to the channel and you're liking what you see, please like and subscribe. It really helps other people find the channel based upon what we're looking for. When they're talking about cannabis rights, and we're talking about the narrative behind cannabis, a lot of this stuff is still, I guess, not made available to the public, right? It's harder to find. We're on restricted access here in YouTube, but basically the more likes and subscribes we get, the more the message gets out. So thank you very much for that. Good morning to everybody in the comments. Steve Woods, Here We Grow Wicked. We got, let's see who else we got in there. Michael Payton Sr. And Little Mac 86, Ron Valley. Thanks a lot for joining always. You guys are always here in the comments, and helps a lot with what we got going on. Let me go ahead and take that off, get back to the chat. And let's see, Little Mac, I saw you saying something. It makes me sick to think of how many families were wrecked over this war on this planet. And, for people who understand the good it can do, they understand it's one of the largest atrocities brought forth to people in general, of all shapes and sizes, of all colors and creeds. This is something that has affected all of us based upon a quality of life and medical decisions for quite some time. And realistically, those who suffer from it the most are the ones who don't have access to it, and or still run the risk of going to prison for it. And that's a big deal. So I understand what you're saying, Little Mac, and that's the first piece of legislation from Florida I've seen in years that makes any sense. Sorry, Florida. Florida and California and a lot of gun owners in general are about their gun rights, and it boils down to it is again, as you're seeing a crossover into public opinion, positive public opinion about this. You're going to have more gun owners. You're going to have more people who walk, different paths of life and are from different walks of life, and ultimately are seeing the unfair nature of what it is behind legalization. I would venture to say that alcohol and a gun in a person who has been drinking alcohol's hand is a little bit more dangerous than that of somebody who's been smoking marijuana and has a gun available to him. But this is a broad stroke comment, and when it boils down to the fact of public safety, again, we're having to walk back all the years of marijuana madness and all the years of basically them saying that the devil's lettuce is going to kill people, and you're going to go out and rob and rape and do all that kind of stuff. And so it's ridiculous, but we're going to have to disprove a lot of these theories before we go out and make it widely spread on a federal level, available to everybody, because public interest and the safety thereof. And again, you've got a lot of these politicians, still the staunch holdouts, that are basically believing the rhetoric or standing on different principles, of which, again, the masses know aren't the case anymore, or aren't the truth anymore. So that's the thing, is we got to get past this marijuana madness and start moving into, again, public safety issues, and understanding what really is going to move this movement forward. And that's medical availability for people who truly need it, and also knowing that within public consumption on the recreational level, that you're not going to be putting other people in the way of danger or infringing on other people's safety, right? So those are the big things that the feds want to make sure that they have their P's and Q's minded, I's and T's dotted and crossed before they go ahead and get these things going on a federal level. It's kind of what we're waiting on. Let's see. Bubba Fett, current service member at risk of getting discharged because the DOD thinks MJ will make me spill secrets to the Russians or something. It's ridiculous. And I'm hoping you're saying you're not going through something currently right now, Bubba Fett. It's more of just a general that you can get in trouble for this. But it doesn't make sense that when we know so much about PTSD, we know so much about the current needs of our service members and that kind of stuff. Ultimately, you can go out and get drunk and we all know that's a little bit more of a truth serum than cannabis, but at the same time, you can go out and get drunk all you want, and there's no problems with that. Yet you come back to base with the dirty test, and like you said, it's to the brig with you. Let's see. Ken Dyer, why won't the Republicans sign on to the Schumer's MORE Act? I'm going to have to lay out that this is my opinion and speculation at this juncture, but essentially, right now, you've got people, especially during these election times, that want to be known for what's going on, that want to be seen as the person that helped push this through. And essentially, the MORE Act was presented in a partisan fashion, but with bipartisan intent, right? And essentially, I don't think that there was enough weigh-in by the Republican side to get that going. Plus, you have other bipartisan bills being presented, and you also have a partisan bill that was presented by Republicans only. And I do believe that's what's holding up on the MORE Act, is because, again, each party wants to be seen as the group that brought prohibition to an end, that really, helped out everybody in these regards. And essentially, this is the political nature of what's coming up next, is until we can find something that both parties believe in or think that they're going to get equal say in, we're going to have a partisan effort here. Hey, Phil, good to see you. Thanks for joining from Texas. And stop drinking after 20 years, been smoking for 41. Imagine if you'd been drinking for those 41 years, your liver might have a little bit more to say about cirrhosis or something like that. But hey, all things in moderation. I know people drink all the time. Thanks for throwing that in. Ron Bally, been a weed person since 1970 and eventually drank beer. Finally quit all alcohol after 7 friends died from liver disease from only beer. Potheads need to know of the sick dangers of alcohol use. Funny enough, we were just talking about that from the comment below. It's one of those things that, when you're talking about alcohol and whether you start from a good point of view or you're starting because you're trying to get your mind off of things or you're depressed or whatnot, alcohol is a nice blanket. It's a nice mask, but ultimately it takes its toll very quickly and can take over your life very quickly. As to where the addictive qualities of cannabis, hey, they're in question, and how addicting is it? I'm not going to say it's not addicting or that it's that it doesn't have some qualities, but if it makes you feel better, people are addicted to feeling better. And if we're talking about again in the same terms, whether you're talking about masking something or a mental health disorder or a physical quality of life thing, we're talking about the lesser evils. We're talking about pharmaceuticals, alcohol, and that kind of thing having a proven track record of literally tearing people apart on a physical level, emotional level, and really on an overall quality of life level. And that's something where the prolonged use of cannabis, the studies aren't in yet, but we've got so many people in the comments. We've got so many people that we know that have been using cannabis on a recreational level for so long and a medicinal level for so long that essentially anecdotally we know that it's not going to hurt you as much as alcohol and as those prolonged use of pharmaceuticals. So yeah, let's see. New York, Purple Thumb. Any news on New York? The last thing I saw was that they were petitioning federally to grow greenhouse cannabis on the rooftops in New York. I would have to find the story. Maybe that's something we can get in tomorrow. I'll give an update on New York, just because finding that story might be a little bit tough. But New York's making moves, and when it comes down to the laws and how they're trying to get social equity implemented as far as people who were affected by this and their children as well. I think they've got some good stuff coming up there. And then yeah, it's when it comes down to New York is what do you guys have most of over there as far as places to grow? In the city, you got a lot of rooftop. And so it would be pretty cool to have greenhouses available up there and for the home grow and or businesses be able to grow on the top. So that's about the only thing I got for New York right now. Let's see. Yeah, Michael Payton Sr., I don't drink anymore or any less. I smoke less weed because of the potency factor. As the potency goes up, less of it's needed. And while I'm not sitting here bad-mouthing alcohol, we're talking about it in terms of daily consumption versus, pharmaceutical and or cannabis on that level. Tell you the truth, I enjoy myself a nice whiskey from time to time, and yeah, it happens to couple pretty darn well or pair pretty well with a joint or a nice bong ripping in the evening. So I am definitely I'm not swearing off alcohol or saying that people who drink alcohol are not as cool as us weed smokers. It's just something that within those things, moderation is what keeps an even keel. So yeah, let's see here. Danny Tomlin, hope you didn't miss much. Good to see you. Yeah, we have the headlines here, but you can definitely go and start that up in the beginning. It has to do with holding President Biden accountable here. A lot of stuff on 420 where people are coming out and saying, "Hey, this isn't fair." Let's see. Yeah, Ron Valley, he said, "I have 2 acres on a farm area and I'm still freaked out to toke joint in the front yard in legal Illinois because of 50 years of weed being illegal. And looking over my shoulder. Can I sue Uncle Sam for trauma?" I really wish that was the case because, the PTSD on this is real. Boils down to, I've shared with you guys, I started my life as someone who got in trouble for cannabis, amongst other things. It really shaped the way my life, kind of went and the opportunities and that kind of thing that were available to me. And along the way, you come into situations, you have other things, you get pulled over, you have run-ins with the police, all that kind of stuff. It shapes your life and ultimately it makes you feel some sort of way about all these things. So I feel you on that one because, yeah, PTSD is real surrounding this. And ultimately what we bear the burden of is hopefully something that we as a channel and as a community here at Trichomes can help these next generations not deal with. We can for our neighbors, for our friends, for our family, help to smooth out the narrative here about cannabis and really pave the way for a normalized conversation and more regular access to people who need it on a medical level. Let's see. Yeah, Philip, me and alcohol don't mix. Tired of ending up in jail all the time. That's why I quit 20 years ago. I used to joke about the fact that I thought maybe I had an alcohol allergy because every time I drank, I broke out in cuffs. And, that's kind of an old humor thing. But, boils down to the fact that, a lot of people, including myself, when not keeping things in moderation, get out of hand a little bit easier. And while I have never suffered a cannabis-only blackout, I can tell you that I have definitely blacked out more than my fair share of times on alcohol. So drinking alcohol, whatnot. So, yep. It's one of those things as to where, again, to each their own. Moderation is everything, and responsible consumption is really a term. But when it comes down to cannabis, it's there's different repercussions, right? You can die from alcohol. You can die from the intake of pharmaceuticals. What they say about cannabis, and I'm sure that different studies will show different things, but when it comes down to cannabis flower, they say you either got to smoke 1,500 pounds in a minute or have it fall on your head to have it kill you. So I added that last part, but yeah, I think it's 1,500 pounds of consumption is what they theorize would kill somebody. I'm pretty sure that there's a few people in LA here trying to put that to the test yesterday, but I haven't heard of any cannabis-related deaths. So let's see. So Danny Tomlin, you were talking about, they need to work on getting their heads together to legalize it. Kentucky is now trying to decriminalize it, and the governor, Bashir, is wanting Kentuckians to have their meds. That's a great step forward, right? And like we've talked about before, the pathway to recreational legalization seems to be through medical legalization and basically having availability to the people who need it for quality of life, to offset different pain meds and that kind of thing on a medical level. Whether we're talking about epilepsy, which it's been proven for, and we've got drugs out, approved by the FDA and all that kind of stuff, or you're talking about cancer patients who are going through chemo and doing that and doing different treatments, and you're talking about quality of life or getting your appetite up while the rest of your system's being beaten down. It's something that it's tough for me to talk about it, because essentially the fact that we have access to it here in a way that we can't get in trouble, and then there's people out there in different parts of the country that literally don't have it as an option. I can't say anything else about it. It sucks. It's horrible. And really, while we're lucky, saying that everybody else is unlucky isn't it. It's not about being unlucky. It's about right and wrong at this point. And now we've got to get these senators, we've got to get this next level of feds and Congress behind what we're doing, because this is a human right. This is a human right. Absolutely, it's a human right. It's an atrocity for the people who could be living a better life regardless of their circumstances that don't have access to it. And it's an atrocity for those that are still in prison over plant-only circumstances. This is an atrocity that falls on everybody, so really it's one of those things that we need to get better at it. And Kentuckians, and let's see, the people from who was that, the guy Tom from why am I forgetting right now what state it was, the video we just did from Tom McDermott, Indiana. I apologize. Indiana is seeming to get with it and that kind of thing. But again, these call to actions are what is going to bring the next level of getting this across home plate. It's going to take. You got to have people stand up for it. And it's not just the politicians. What's going to happen is people like everybody in the comments, and people like myself, people like these other news organizations. It's about informing the public on who to go talk to and how to talk to them, what to talk to them about. And really, again, starting at people in prison and people who are suffering from medical conditions. I don't know of any better place to start as an activist, as a lobbyist, or whatnot. We've seen these things be successful in how to approach local municipalities, state level stuff, Obviously, we're still talking about federal, but we're getting to a point where there's got to be some federal oversight that once a certain amount of these states, and I think we talked about it, somebody brought it up a couple shows ago, once a certain amount of our states have chosen one thing over another, that the feds have to look into this, and pretty shortly, we got to rally behind some of these senators and these state officials to get behind it and push the issue. But that's going to take an organization of which we don't have yet. Let's see. Yep. Michael Payton Sr., yesterday is the past now, and now is the present, and we all live, work, and build our future. And that's it. Right now is that time. We are all basically putting in this work, and all of you participating in this channel and who talk with your friends about the subject and make moves on signing petitions and going places. This is how change happens. So, without drawing this out any much further on this Thursday, I do want to thank everybody here for participating, because this is where it starts, and within that, again, having people find the channel, helping us get the conversation spread out, and talking to people on a regular basis about it is really where the education starts. And I definitely look forward to, in the up and coming days, having the ability to organize these things on different state levels. We're working with some people within our organization here to go on a state by state level. We're working with some different organizations as well to track different bills and to start to rally the troops, so to speak, in these different states as to where, whether it's a first swing, second swing, or third swing at medical legalization. We're trying to help them with petitioning, with going to the right places, and figuring out what to do as a first step. Because again, especially in these staunch holdout states, the first step is the biggest step, and really finding the right person to talk to is how you make change. So with that being said, I want to thank everybody for joining today. We will be having the Friday weekly roll-up tomorrow, as well as I'll be coming live with the Morning Buzz again tomorrow morning. We'll be looking into a couple things. It's a lot of posturing going on, that kind of stuff. So we'll just dissect what's coming across the lines here tomorrow morning and get into it a little bit more on Friday with Jason. But Ron Valley, free the prisoners of pot in America first, then the world, 100%. And Danny and Philip and everybody who's always here, Michael Payton Sr., everybody, Ron Valley, Ken Dyer, thank you all for showing up. It's really a conversation that we're passionate about, and I can tell, seeing you guys here every day in the comments and whatnot, and figuring out how to make this better, it's passionate for you too. It's an area of passion for you too. So thanks again for joining the conversation. I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow. Thanks a lot. Hope everyone had a safe 420, and we'll talk tomorrow. Thanks again.